Hello everybody, my name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be asking yet again, or answering I should say, another question from the comment section. And of course, please continue and feel free to ask these questions. I'll be happy to answer them at any point in time. Again, it's the off season, there's questions going around everywhere, and ultimately there's not too much to talk about in return as well. So today, the question I'm going to be answering is, what is Lonzo Ball's trade value heading into this upcoming NBA season? Now, of course, if you guys are unaware, Lonzo Ball has been out for a long period of time. I believe it's been around 2.5 years since he's last stepped foot on an NBA court. There's been surgeries, injuries upon injuries, ultimately a lot of unknown as well. For the first part at least, they didn't know what his injury was, and now he is expected to return to the Chicago Bulls this upcoming season. He believes it. I think the team believe it at this point as well. He said he's 70% healthy, all these great things. What's his trade value? Is there a chance that he could potentially get traded away from the Chicago Bulls? So we need to discuss it. Before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls. And do you believe that Lonzo Ball has a high enough trade value to get traded from the Bulls, or do you think it is so low that it's not worth taking the chance? So ultimately, I think the best way to go through this is to firstly talk about why his trade value could be good, and then go through why his trade value could be bad. And I only see one positive to Lonzo Ball's trade value at this point in time, and that is his contract is an expiring deal. What does that mean for the Chicago Bulls? Well, we're talking about salary dumping Zach LaVine. The Bulls might use Lonzo Ball's contract in a salary dump situation as well. If they need to get future picks, or they need to get maybe a player in return that they feel is necessary, maybe someone else really wants to leave from another team, you could add Lonzo Ball to the situation, considering he is on a short-term deal, 1 year, $21 million, and a team might be willing to take that hit on their salary to get rid of someone that they may need to get rid of, or to get rid of some picks, maybe get some future picks in there in return. It could potentially work in that avenue, and I think there's always a chance that a team will be willing to do that. Now, will it be rare? Will it be common? Ultimately, I think it's more rare than common that you will see someone do that with Lonzo Ball in return, but it's still a possibility. But that is the only positive I see about Lonzo Ball and his current trade value. Unfortunately, there's a lot of negatives here that we're going to be talking about. And look, again, I have to be honest. Honesty is the best policy. I don't want to sugarcoat anything just because I know there are a lot of Lonzo Ball fans out there that really believe Lonzo Ball will come back to 100%. But one of the biggest negatives that I have towards Lonzo Ball and his trade value at the moment is that he's going to be coming back into the NBA unproven. Unproven in the source of health, unproven in the source of fitness, and unproven in the source of caliber. Yes, he was a high quality point guard when we got him, and I still believe to this day that was a really good trade that we pulled off. I think it was Garrett Temple and Thomas Satoransky with a couple of seconds for Lonzo Ball, and we got caught tampering with that deal as well. So we desperately wanted Lonzo Ball at the end of the day, but unfortunately, what happened to him, so now he's going to be coming into this league unproven. He's going to be coming into this league unproven in almost every way. And I feel like that is going to significantly lower his trade value ridiculously. And unfortunately, that is something that we need to be aware of. The second thing is, since he's been out for so long, many teams will maybe not want to risk trading for Lonzo Ball. Now look, let's just say a contending team was knocking on the door, right? And they were looking at players from a Bulls team that looks like they're going to be going in a different direction. They might look at Lonzo Ball. Yeah, look, he had a couple of injuries before he joined the Bulls. He's never really been fully healthy for a season, except for maybe 1 or 2. And ultimately, every time something goes, even Lonzo Ball admitted this, by the way, every single time something goes well for Lonzo Ball, an injury or something steps in the way. He's admitted that himself. So I think a lot of Bulls fans and Lonzo Ball fans alike will agree to that situation. So his injury record prior to this injury as well, I think hinders his trade value just a little bit. I mean, we didn't have to give up that much for Lonzo Ball. That means his trade value wasn't that high to begin with. So that is another step that we got to really consider. Since he is coming back from 2.5 years of injuries. No one, I personally don't think no one is going to give him that opportunity right off the bat and trade for him right off the bat. I think if you're Lonzo Ball, your goal, look, maybe your goal is to stay with the Bulls. I don't know what the Bulls are going to do, and I don't know what Lonzo Ball is going to do. I feel like, unfortunately, we've kind of been robbed of Lonzo Ball at the moment. However, if his priority is to stay in the NBA and he's going to use the Bulls to do so, then I think he just has to prove it on the court. It's as simple as that. Anytime he gets an opportunity, prove his worth. Shoot 40% from the three-point line. Do your thing in transition. Still be that All-NBA defender. At the end of the day, those are very tough asks for someone coming back from 2.5 years out. But ultimately, if he can prove that that is his caliber still, then there's going to be floods of teams knocking on the door for Lonzo Ball. And the Bulls might be listening to every single one of them. So that's another avenue we can go down with Lonzo Ball. But that is ultimately a negative because we just don't know. And there's a lot of risks compared to guarantees when you sign a player like Lonzo Ball. I think the third thing when it comes to Lonzo Ball is the situation when it comes to, obviously, outside circumstances. This is not necessarily the biggest one for me personally, but again, it was a big one coming into why we traded Lonzo Ball. We traded for Lonzo Ball. Many people didn't want Lonzo Ball because of the big baller brand and the family and everything of that nature. And to be fair, that hasn't necessarily impacted me whatsoever over the last 3 years. The best I've heard is Lonzo Ball's coming back soon from LaMelo Ball, from his dad, LeVar Ball, and that just didn't happen. So yeah, that's the worst I've kind of seen from that situation. But people will still have that perception, and I think other teams as well will have that perception of he brings a lot of outside noise that teams might not want to deal with, especially the small market teams. The Bulls are a large market, and maybe that's why you don't get impacted as much, is because, again, it's not really a big deal compared to everything else that's going on in Chicago. But let's just say a team like, the Sacramento Kings, for example. No disrespect to the Kings, obviously. But since they're a little bit of a smaller market, they traded for Lonzo Ball. I don't think they're going to want that publicity to affect their team. So that's another avenue to go down. And I think that's really all I got to talk about. I can't think of another reason why his trade value would be low, but ultimately there's only one reason why I think his trade value could be moderately high, and that is just because he's on a 1-year deal and we could look to salary dump him if teams want to do that. But ultimately, his trade value, to answer your question, I think is tremendously low. But the biggest positive is that it might not be low forever. Again, he has to prove it on the court. It's not like we're not going to give him the opportunity to do that. He's accepted his player option. The Bulls have talked constantly about how much they want Lonzo Ball to be back. He will get a chance to prove it. He may not get a chance to prove it as a starter. He may not get a chance to prove it in back-to-backs. He may have to prove it in minutes restrictions. But regardless, he's going to get the chance. And that's all you can ask for. And that's all Lonzo Ball should need in order to determine his own trade value and to determine his future in the NBA. So ultimately, the answer now, I think his trade value is pretty much close to very low to non-existent. I think there could be an odd team that would say, hey, look, we need one player on a big contract. We need to salary dump someone. Maybe the Bulls need to salary dump someone. Let's make a deal work with Lonzo Ball. We'll take the hit and see if he works. But honestly, I think his trade value is very low. And I see him being a Chicago Bull because of it. And ultimately, I do believe the Bulls have quietly tried to have conversations about trading Lonzo Ball. Now, that's my personal opinion. There's no rumor or anything that suggests that what I'm saying is true. But I believe it. That's as simple as it gets. I believe the Bulls have had quiet conversations about Lonzo Ball. But he's here. I'm happy that he's here. I want him to be here. And let's hope he stays here and proves it. And if he can't prove it, well, then maybe his time in the NBA is coming short. Maybe his trade value won't even matter anymore. But if he can prove it, his future is still secure in the NBA. He's too good of a talent and a high IQ player to have his, career in jeopardy if he could bring it every single night. It's up to him. It's up to him, his body, his mind, and obviously the team giving him the chance. Will that happen? I believe so. Thank you for watching. Drop a like and a follow and or subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.